the big accomplishment of making it that far, that X amount of days without smoking, just feels totally washed away by having succumbed to the urge, whatever the trigger may have been, to smoke again. It's not as simple as just hitting the reset button on the day counter and starting from zero. Hey team, what's up? Firstly, thanks for the support on the recent video. It's cool to see some comments from people and hear other people's experiences, and I'm wishing you all the best. I'm Julian. I've been habitually addicted to marijuana for 13 plus years. Currently, I'm about 3 months. I'll have to find exactly how many days it's been soon, but I'm about 3 months free of marijuana in any form. And today I want to talk about the process of relapsing when you're in the midst or a certain amount of time into having quit smoking weed. Speaking from my experience, when I first decided to really try and stop smoking a couple of years ago for the first time, I made it a certain period. It was something like 8 months to a year, maybe a little over a year. And I smoked again. I was in a situation where I was using other drugs in a so-called responsible manner, and I kind of convinced myself, which I touched on in a recent video, that it would be okay to try it again because I'm stronger now. And all these feelings came crashing down of sort of guilt and embarrassment and self-judgment and frustration. And I was able to sort of use those feelings of failure to convince myself that it was okay to start up again, that it was sort of a defeat that I had relapsed and smoked, and that maybe it wouldn't be so bad to go back to smoking on a regular basis. And as things go, as those of us who have this relationship with weed that is problematic, it kind of, the pot boils over at a certain point and it becomes out of hand again. You know, you can relapse and smoke weed again and double down on it and feel like you've really failed. Or you can look at all the days leading up to that moment that you hadn't smoked weed, that you had gone about your day and embraced sobriety, and it doesn't indicate anything about you either as a person, or how strong-willed you are, or how good of a person you are. The big accomplishment of making it that far, that X amount of days without smoking, just feels totally washed away by having succumbed to the urge, whatever the trigger may have been, to smoke again. And it doesn't have to be that way. It's what the natural response is, but there is a glass half full perspective on that, which is the amount of restraint that you've practiced up until that moment. And that in a way, it's actually sort of indicative of a healing within yourself, that you felt you were able to go smoke again and have it not be a problem. It just maybe was a bit misguided because you may happen to have a relationship to weed which is problematic, which other people don't have. What can you do to prepare yourself for when you want to stop smoking again? There's a couple things you can try. One of the things that has been helpful for me is identifying the triggers of when you know you're going to be tempted. It might be hanging out with a certain group of friends, or going to a certain location, maybe visiting family, or a responsibility that you have that's on a regular basis every year or half year that is unbearable, or you haven't ever done without smoking. being aware of those situations that you can sort of predict you're going to feel tempted to smoke, being mentally prepared for those helps a lot. Just thinking about it ahead of time, like, hey, I might really be tempted to smoke going into this situation. I should be prepared to feel those feelings. There have been periods recently where I've wanted to smoke. One of my strategies has been this, making videos, talking about my experience. You can journal, you can seek support from friends and family. There's everything from exercise to meditation, but really this is such a personal experience that you are dealing with in your own specific circumstances. It's really going to be up to you to know the best way of handling it when it comes around, the feeling, the urge to smoke. Recovery in any sense of the word, whether it's heroin or weed, is a journey. It's not something you just do and is done. It's normal to have these feelings of desire and regret about stopping, and the urges to smoke again. I have dreams a lot, especially recently, where I smoke weed, and I wake up feeling so regretful, and it's like, whoa, it's weird. That was just a weird dream, but it's clearly on my mind. I'm clearly still thinking about it. You have to go easy on yourself. You have to be kind to yourself, because there's no one that is judging you as much as you. You might think, your family or your friends or whatever see you smoke weed again after having stopped for some amount of time, and you're just fearing the worst about what they're thinking and how they're perceiving you. But I can almost guarantee you that you are scrutinizing those mistakes that you've made more so than anyone else. And it only gets in the way to shame yourself like that and to see your relapse as a failure, because there is a lot of success in the fact that it's a relapse at all, the fact that you stopped smoking for any amount of time at all. When you smoke weed again, you think about the positive things that you experienced when you quit, all the time up to now. What felt within your control and what doesn't feel within your control now, and what made you happy without it, and what feels unhappy about it, and what were the triggers, and how can you approach quitting again with what you've learned from this relapse, from smoking weed again. This is not an all or nothing thing. You will go at it and find what's good about it and what works about it, and then you'll maybe smoke again. And all you have to do is remember to go easy on yourself when that happens. I think I wanted to talk about this too, because one of the first times I was really seriously trying to stop smoking weed, I was using this app which was counting the days, everything from the hours to the seconds that I had been free from weed. And in the beginning, I think it was really helpful, but when I did ultimately smoke again, I think, whatever, a year later or something, that app was sort of a source of shame then, hitting that reset button, because it's not a reset. If you stop smoking weed and then 2 years later you smoke again, it's not like you had never stopped smoking weed. It's not as simple as just hitting the reset button on the day counter and starting from zero, because you've experienced all these things and learned all these things about yourself without weed. And there's value to that can't just be determined by a number between 0 and however long. I'm not sure how much more there is to say about this. Maybe a lot. Maybe there is a lot more to say about this. Hit like, hit subscribe, or don't. Either way, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.